I know this, that there has been, the rules are supposed to be about balance between offense and defense. And so with the exception of 7 or 8 years after the introduction of the clock and the three-point goal, we've lost points. In fact, we had the second lowest point output last year in 50 or 60 years. So I don't think it's only a shot clock issue, and sometimes shot clock may undermine the quality of shot that you get, but it might increase pace. I think it's a combination of factors of rule, coaching, shot clock, and officiating. And it's a mix that I think needs some study, needs some data. We did make some progress a year ago, but we didn't really stick with it, and we lost whatever progress we had made last year. So I'm hoping that with some of the rule changes and with the clock and a basic commitment to stay with change. Stu Jackson, who coached at Wisconsin and worked in the NBA office for a long time, works at the Big East, and he and I have talked about it a little bit, and basically have to sustain the change for more than just a year or a part of a year. You really have to stay with it before the players and coaches fully adjust. So I think J.D. Collins is, he officiated in the Big Ten. He's worked with our consortium, and now he's leading the NCAA. And I think he is a good leader and a good listener. And I think he'll get some followership from the conferences around the country, because at the rate of loss, we've lost points, I think, in 36 of the last 45 years. And we can't afford to go in that direction. There needs to be a little more balance than I think what we've had. The court's not getting larger, and if you counterpoint it to college football, which used to be a game that's played in a smaller box, and now they use a whole field and great athletes and great coaching. College basketball, I think, has gotten a little bit contained with the size and the physicality of the game, and I think we need to find a way to present it in a way that there's a little more flow and a little more pace to it, but that can't get done in 3 months or 4 months. It probably needs a 2, 3, 4 year period of sustained commitment. I think at that point players and coaches adjust, but it can't happen overnight.
Jim, Tom Izzo said that he would like to see the rules mirror more the NBA game, the rules of the NBA game. Maybe even playing quarters instead of halves, have identical shot clocks, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? And should it go in that direction?
Well, the NBA is different than college, and the international game is different than the NBA, and the high school game is different. So, I think that the NBA does some really good things. In fact, I think they do some things better than us, and I think we do some things better than them. We have 354 teams and 32 conferences. They have 31 or 32 teams. They have a salary cap, and they have a draft, and they have 82 games plus playoffs. So it's a little bit different, and yet it's still the game of basketball. The hoop is 10 feet high, and foul shot is 15 feet. But what I always think we should do is have a lot of communication with NFL about their rules and how they manage their game. I think we can benefit, beg, borrow, and steal. It's very hard to create something brand new. Likewise with NBA. I think their officials make certain plays better than our officials. I think our officials actually do a better job than them, but I think you're seeing a movement in the big picture of something that looks more like an international game. And I think it's more similar than dissimilar, and they've made changes top down. Our rules committee is really dominated by coaches who are practitioners. I will tell you that Phil Jackson and Chuck Daly didn't agree to eliminate the Jordan rules. That wasn't done by coaches. David Stern, was in charge, and it was very much top down. So we're bottom up, we're grassroots, they're top down marketing. And so what we have to do is find out a way to make the changes that are appropriate for 32 conferences, lots of different styles, lots of different talent level. So I don't know that just en masse taking the NBA approach and dumping it on the college is necessarily the right answer, but I think it is the right answer to look at their game, see how they have made the changes. They've got better and more plays at the rim, They have, less block charge, they have less congestion, they've taken their hands off the point guards, which I think is a good adjustment. I think we actually do a better job on block charge than they do, albeit I think we call too many charges. I'd like to see the game a little bit more open. And they have released their great, they have better balance between offense and defense, but they have the same problem we do in the postseason play. It gets more physical. So that's a sort of a common feature. Theirs is longer season, longer minutes, bigger players, more talented players, more skilled players, and a uniform distribution of players through the draft that we don't have. So I would be reluctant just to grab everything they do, but I think we can learn from them and the international game as well.
You've mentioned in the past, just talking generally about conference teams should play each other more, not less. Mm-hmm. That thought, looking at the way the schedule is currently constructed, are there possible adjustments moving forward?
Well, I was a little more focused probably with regard to football, mm-hmm. but we did increase the, when we went to 12, we did go from 16 to 18 games. I think it's really difficult unless you look at the season differently to go beyond 18. We're already playing in late December. We're going to have to move more games into December when we go to the Garden in 18. So we've made the move in football, but we had been to 9 before for a few years, and we're at 9 now. I think it's a good number. And, I would have a discussion with the coaches, but we would have to understand that we are then pushing conference games into December. And the other thing that exists in December, in addition to college football, is you have exams in December. So that possibly you're moving games into November. So the question is, would people be comfortable in playing conference games in November? So I think 18 is right for now. I think that's a good place for us to be, although there's always discussion about who you play once and who you play twice and the impact on competitive fairness. But I think 18 is probably right for us now.
Quick follow-up, has there been any talk about protecting certain rivalries?
Yeah.
In-state, having home and home definitely with those two?
There's been discussion about it.
Is it going anywhere?
No. It never seems to win the day.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Garden. Is there a possibility of going back, or where?
Well, we're there in 18, and
right.
Then we know we're in 19, 20, and 21. I think we're back to Chicago in 19, and then I think 21 in Indy in 22. Okay, so thanks. We're going to have a hockey basketball doubleheader there on January 30th
right.
with Penn State and Michigan. That's Big Ten Day, Big Ten in the Garden. And we're going to do that for each of the next 4 years. And so, we're building something there. We're building, the relationship with the Yankees in the Garden, and we're at the Verizon Center. So it's part of the Eastern Initiative. We're still new to the neighborhood, but it's our neighborhood, and we want to build some relationships and some competitive following. BTN got distribution early there. We're getting very good ratings there. There are a lot of people who live there. There are a lot of college sports fans. I mean, it's the Yankees and the Eagles and the Jets and the Redskins, but the Big Ten is there now. And when we present something that's interesting, we get followership. So that's a good thing.